Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Rick Text, the parasite of the tour. You're listening to Text Messages, the Resurrection. Someday we'll probably get to the new and improved Text Messages, the Resurrection, but for now we're still just Text Messages, the Resurrection. If you see our video title, it says TMTR, which is basically an abbreviation for Text Messages, the Resurrection. Pretty straightforward, nice and short, straight to the point. And by now, most people probably, like the 2 or 3 of you that actually listen, probably actually know what that means. So, more important to actually point out the subject of discussion within the talk show rather than putting the title on there every single show, because most people probably know what it means. Now, the ultimate goal is to get to a point where all we'll have to say is TMTR, April 3rd, 2025. Then people will know that, yeah, that seems like a pretty good show. I'll tune in, hear whatever they're saying on there, which is the ultimate goal, but we haven't gotten to that point yet, and it may be a long time into the future as well. But we'll just continue to plug away at 8 cylinders and see what happens. Now, last couple of weeks, we've been discussing health-related matters, the 4 pillars of your blood: red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, plasma. And we've been discussing some organs, liver, kidneys. And today we're going to discuss the gallbladder. Some people have had their gallbladder removed, which is not the best idea. I don't really know who would think to suggest that, but it's happened before. What's more common, though, is having appendix removed. So some people, their appendix will explode, then it'll cause them to die. So under those circumstances, you're probably better off reversing whatever you've done to get to that point where your appendix would explode. Now, it's always very difficult, though, because it's easy to assume that progressive diseases will just happen no matter what. But the fact is, if you make changes, dietary changes, lifestyle changes, environmental changes, that can usually reverse a lot of ailments. If you get half your teeth drilled out, unfortunately, it appears that you probably won't be able to regrow them. And there are some organs in the body that do regenerate, though. The liver, for example. You can cut out 70% of it, and it regrows back in a couple months or whatever. Not too many organs are that intelligent. Skin is that way, too. Skin regrows itself and regenerates, too. But just certain parts of the body don't appear to have that ability. Now, will there be some point in the future, or if we do something in our bodies, will it stimulate the stem cells to regrow them? Possibly. Teeth, for example. There have been studies that indicate that you can put stem cells on your teeth and activate them through some type of lighting stimulant, and then it'll regrow the new dentin and enamel. So possibly we could have that with other organs as well. Maybe the appendix or the liver, or the kidney, pancreas, the heart, all them things. Well, human growth hormone actually grows cells for your heart and along with your other organs too, because it just stimulates you to grow new cells. Hell, maybe it even grows new T cells as well. That would be something to look into, but for now, we're just going to stick with the gallbladder today. So as you can see, the gallbladder sits underneath the liver. It works in conjunction with it. The liver sends bile to the gallbladder, then the gallbladder sends it to the small intestine. The gallbladder is basically a storage unit for the bile. The bile helps to break down a lot of the fats inside your small intestine. So it secretes it to the small intestine, breaks it down. Gall essentially means bile. So when they say gallbladder, you could just as soon say bile bladder. There's also the regular urine bladder. So your kidneys, they'll filter out garbage, and then they'll mix it up with some water and then put it in your bladder. Then you'll expel it. You're male or female, depending on what type of organism you use for excreting urine. So the bile allows fat-soluble vitamins, nutrients to be broken down and more easily absorbed into the bloodstream. So that's why when you consume too many of vitamin A and other fat-soluble vitamins, they eventually start to wreak havoc on your liver and kidneys because they're not able to be broken down. So then they'll try to filter them out, and then it's like a high blood sugar that just continues to be recirculated and continues to scar away at your blood vessels. So what bile actually is, it's a combination of fats, cholesterols, and liquid water. Gallbladder is about 4 inches. It's the pear shaped. Some of the problems you can have with it: inflammation, which is called cholecystitis, and gallstones as well, which ultimately cause the inflammation. They're usually formed by cholesterol in the bile and the calcium bilirubinate from the breakdown of the red blood cells, which occur once they die, and then they're just not expelled out of the gallbladder good enough. So a healthy gallbladder has muscular walls. A lot of your organs do have muscle tissues, more or less. And when you eat organ meat, you're essentially just eating. See, the muscle meat is usually the preferred meat when you're eating deer or venison or cow or lamb or sheep or mutton. But the organs are what have a deluge of nutrients in them, especially the liver, as long as you're eating it from a clean, organic, pasture-raised source. Factory farm with all the garbage in it, pesticides and antibiotics, not something you'd want to eat. But organ meat is probably the most healthy type of food that you can eat from an animal. You know, it has all the complex amino acids, it has essential fatty acids, all that good fun stuff. So how the gallbladder actually works, it responds to signals before you consume a meal. So it starts out just as a flat little pear-shaped 4-inch sized organ, basically. And then when you consume the meal, the liver will begin to fill it up with the bile. And then when your meal gets down to that portion of your intestines, then the gallbladder squeezes again and expels all that bile in your small intestines, which will help break down the fatty acids, put them into more smaller components that your body can further break down and use as energy in the mitochondrial cells. That's basically, I mean, the gallbladder doesn't have a lot of functionality, so that may lead people to believe they can just go ahead and remove it just randomly get it out of their body if it seems to be causing any problems. But the fact is, removing organs is basically the quintessential cardinal sin of removing the symptom rather than removing the cause. Because if your appendix is starting to balloon up or your gallbladder is doing funny things, something else is causing it. That's usually the issue that should be tackled. I mean, you're not really going to meet too many people who have organs removed and then say that was the greatest thing they ever did and it was the best thing and they're being great again. What you will encounter, though, is people who receive the placebo effect and they assume that since they receive medical care and attention that they're better off as a result of it. But in all reality, a couple months or a couple years later, when the placebo effect wears off and they sort of forget about it, they likely revert back to what caused that symptom in the first place. And then it's even worse because the body's natural defense systems have been removed and altered. So ultimately, it's what we do here is we evaluate things using common sense, self-experimentation, and a careful analysis of the data sources and who funds them and everything like that. So through those 3 avenues of thought, we can generally come up with some pretty reasonable answers to any questions you may have at home. I mean, that being said, yeah, that's basically the gallbladder in a nutshell. It stores bile, secretes it in the small intestines, and it breaks down fat. If you don't have a gallbladder, you probably should be eating a low-fat diet. And if you want to eat a ketogenic diet, you might be out of luck. So, I mean, if you are missing certain organs, it is a good idea to consider that as far as how you can be great again. And it's just good to learn things, too. Because the more you know about your body, the more healthy you can potentially be. Now, is everything I'm saying on here absolutely 100% spot on accurate? No. I mean, it might not even be 75% accurate. But we just try to do the best we can and at least feed you some stimulants as far as knowledge attaining. And it might also be a catalyst for you further doing research into this type of thing. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the conclusion of the show. We thank you for listening to us this Thursday evening, February 14th, 2019, Valentine's Day. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it with your Valentine. We thank you very much for watching. Without you, we're absolutely nothing. We salute you.